We have a presentation now that is going to talk about creative disruption. I think you want to stick around because this is going to pick up nicely on what we just heard. The CEO of CoreMedia, Gerrit Kolb, is here with us now to talk about how content and context create new commerce leaders. So please give Gerrit Kolb a warm round of applause. Gerrit, come on out. Hey.
Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, welcome. Thanks a lot for being here at lunch hour. What I will be talking about is how the commerce space in total will be disrupted over the next coming years, and specifically what you can do and what are the actionable items that you can take to avoid others from eating your lunch. So let me start by going a little bit into the history of the commerce space and really how the online commerce space and the offline commerce space are merging and what implications that has for the leaders, for the people that will go away, and for the people that will stay on top and be able to survive and thrive through that process. When we look at today's leaders in commerce, there's one thing that sticks out, is that traditionally, the brick and mortar vendors like Walmart, the largest vendor in the world, and all the other retail organizations seem to dominate the space just by the sheer power of their existence and their availability in the high streets of the world. Right now, when you look at this figure here, you see that the 8th largest commerce player is actually a pure play online player. And that's Amazon.com. And interestingly enough, when you look at those numbers, they generate over $60 billion in revenue from their Amazon.com or local properties that they operate. Well, it's interesting because worldwide, they're the 15th largest retailer. So they're a platform, and interestingly enough, they don't only sell like 1/3 of their total sales being their own inventory. 2/3 of those are actually sold through the market space. So you're dealing with a massive platform vendor that is intruding the commerce space as a whole. We're not talking just e-commerce, we're talking every single commerce that is taking place, transactional or online. But the bad news is there are more. So it's not only Amazon coming in, eating up your lunch, it's actually others where you say, you know what, I'm in France, I'm in Germany, I'm in Denmark, I really have no real challenge by Amazon because they're not local, they don't understand my market, there's others that follow their trail. And when you look at Amazon, when you look at the online retailers, look at the growth rates. They're not talking about growth rates of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5%. These guys are at 17.7, 50 or 66.2, 29.9. These guys have growth rates being the platform vendor that make online or offline traditional sales organizations pale. So look at this number. You could say, like, why do I care? 84% of today's business, 84% of people that are buying in a shop, before they went to the shop, before they even considered going to the shop, have already researched product, they've already researched service, they've already researched the brand, the offering, and the price online before they even got to the place where they could potentially do business with you. Which means that traditionally you could say, you know what, who cares? Only 10%, only 11% of my business is online. You can say, you know what, I can ignore that, I have a strong brand. Right now, 84% of your business is at stake. There's an additional level of complexity that comes to it. Like when you remember those days where you went to a shop to see like what they got, put something in your shopping basket, moved over to the cash register and paid for it, it was a pretty straightforward process. Right now, when you go into an online experience, you will research social opinion. You probably go to Amazon for that. You will research general topics like, what is it that I really need for a good hiking trip? What is it that I really need to operate my local home studio? What is it that I really need to fulfill specific tasks? And in order for you to do that, you're not visiting one space, one shop, where it's easy for everyone to kind of interact with you, give you coupons, show you like what products they have on sale. But right now you have to deal with postings on Twitter. You have to deal with opinions on Amazon. You have to deal with opinions on other websites. You have to deal with a lot of interaction points to make sure that in the end, that shopping cart doesn't get abandoned, and that shopping cart even got to get filled in the beginning. So who's playing? It's really three kind of people that are playing in this industry. Number one is the brands. These are the people that the brands you know you love. So if you know that you're an Adidas guy or you know that you're a Nike guy, most likely you're going to go to their brand. You know that this is the brand that you'd like to be associated with, and this is where you will go. And then there's the commerce platform. We already saw those. These are growing rapidly. And this is where you go when you already know what product you want to buy, after having researched everything that you found relevant for the specific thing that you want to do. And in between is all the rest. And the rest is big. So what are the things? We saw what the commerce platform's doing. They're growing. But what are the brands doing? The brands do two things. Number one, the brands track and get more traction through additional attention. So I took Ray-Ban here as an example. When you go to their website, you will realize two things. Number one is they actually have something like never hide noise. This is where people upload their music. This is people that has nothing, these are things that have nothing to do with traditional sunglasses. This is where people associate themselves with engaging content, with something that's really exciting, with something that attracts attention. And once they have that attention, what are they doing? They try to monetize it. They sell it online, right away, bypassing anybody else that's in the market. So they're creating pressure from the top on everything that is sold in that market that is related to the offering that they have. So, what do? You're in the middle. If you become an Amazon, well, I would strongly recommend doing that. Good luck. You need a lot of money for that. Or if you become a platform, a specific B2B place, you might have a play. But the real thing, the thing that you need to do in order to be visible in this whole wilderness of products and offerings that you have out there, you got to be a brand. Because you got to come up with an idea why people are going to your website. You got to be, most of all, you got to be visible through the search engines. You got to be visible through something that people are looking for. So be visible, be relevant. Well, that used to be easy. 10 years ago, when you asked someone, okay, so what am I doing to be visible? Most of them would have told you, oh, that's easy. You basically just get real estate space at a prime location. So it's location, it's location, it's location. And once you have enough people stopping by, once you have enough people kind of passing by your shop, you will find enough people that will stop at your shop. You will find enough customers that are interested in buying whatever you have to offer. Well, the sad truth is, it became freaking complicated. So if you think this is a complicated chart, it is. What is it? Well, it means that instead of just having to deal with location, 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 and having to find the right spot on 5th Avenue in Manhattan, right now you have to deal with stuff like quality of content. You have to deal with negative ratings for pirated stuff that's available. You have to deal with things where you have to consider, like, how ad heavy is my site? So a lot of stuff that is a lot more difficult than just taking out your checkbook and pay for a prime location at 5th Avenue. So, what are the big mistakes that people make? And what are the things that you need to do to become visible so that you have enough people passing by your shop, finding you, finding things that you're relevant? First mistake everybody makes or made is Webifying your product catalog. The assumption is that, okay, we have inventory. As soon as we put this online, everybody's going to come in because it's got to be so sexy. Does this look sexy? No, it doesn't look sexy. Would I go there? No, I wouldn't. Why is it? Because I'm not interested in product. What I'm interested in, what can I do with a product? Where is it something that it relates to where I am in my life? Where is it something that relates to what is it that I really want to do right now in my position? And so this thing is a lot better. This is one of the major drugstores in Germany. And so what they did, they said, okay, not put our stuff up there. Let's talk about householding for newbies. Let's talk about, like, what do I need to do to have clean clothes? Another thing that they did is, like, what do I do if I have a new baby? 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12. What is it that I can do, that I need to do? What are the products that are associated with this specific situation in my life? What are the things that are associated with something that I need to do where I might have an interest in a combination of products based on the story that I'm telling and based on the interest of the person that is out there at that point of time. Second big mistake is assuming everybody's interested in exactly the same thing. Because people are not. People are interested in different things. Specifically, it's actually worse than that. People are interested in different things at different times, in different situations of their life. So, assuming that one size fits all, I do a nice graphic, I put it up, everybody's going to flock in, fails miserably. And you pay a lot of money for that, to figure that out. Worst of all, when you used to do like search engine stuff, you were bidding for a specific search word that hopefully led Google to put you up like on the first ranks, which it never did. It always put you up on the second column where the ads were. Right now, this is contextualized. So it matters what time of the day you're calling for a specific search word. It matters what device you're using at the time where you're putting out a request to Google. It matters what you have done previously. So that's the second mistake. The third mistake you can make, and this is a huge one, and pretty much everyone did that and made that, is that typically people go like, you know what, I don't really have my own audience. I don't have to have my own audience. I don't have to own my own community, my own followers. The thing is, I outsource this to Facebook. And what you see up here is actually a screenshot from Electronic Frontier Foundation. These guys do whatever they want with your followers. It's a great way to gather people, to have an interest, but the single most differentiating factor when you want to be searched and you want to be found and you want to create a community and you want to have the ability to interact business with your fans is you want to have user-generated content. You want to have people commenting and stuff. So if there's one advice for you to actually, one mistake not to make here is don't outsource your fans. And whatever you do, don't cheat the panda. Does anybody know what the panda is? Okay, I won't put you on the spot. The panda is a search algorithm that Google uses for relevant content. So don't try to trick it. The minute it figures out that you try to trick it by some fancy search optimizations, it'll kill you right away. And you're going to be wiped from the surface of this world. So relevant content is what it is. Now you could ask, okay, so how do I do this? I'm not a media house. How do I find things? How do I find stories that tie my product offerings together? How do I actually manage this? How do I automate this? And the answer is, you need to automate. So basically, the only thing you need to do, and it's actually fairly simple and fairly straightforward, you got to create an association of your products with the use cases of your products, and then automate that through something that's called a taxonomy. And you would say, like, what's so difficult about that? The thing is that, again, it's automation. By the time that you figure out you want to run a campaign on a specific new owner business or a specific combination of products that you want to target at a specific age brackets of young parents, you got to make sure that you have it, you put in like newborns. And that comes up with all the relevant content that is actually put together automatically to give you the right ranking. So by the time that someone is searching in the specific situation, they're coming back with a search result of your offering as a result of that search. And the key thing here is people don't look for product. And we heard this a little earlier on the discussion here. People look for stories. People look for stories that are relevant for their point. The next thing is customize it. If you have an offering, no matter how sexy that is, if it is not relevant for everyone on this planet. Make sure that they don't have to click through. Make sure that the story that you're telling them is something that is relevant for them at that particular time. So be personal. And most of all, be dynamic. If you're dynamic, it means that you're reacting to a specific situation that person experiences in their life. And it means that you're relevant in the moment. It also means that you're at the point where they are able and willing to interact with you. And there's never a second chance to make a first impression. So when you look at those mobile phones, and as you all know, and I don't want to bore you with this, that the use of mobile has exceeded desktop use quite a while ago. So when you're looking at this and the way that people interact with mobile applications, the so-called bounce rate, which means that people go into your page, to your content, and right away go back because what they find is not what they expected to find, will not only hurt your search ranking, it will also, on mobile devices, make people immediately leave, like whatever will basically jeopardize and kill all the efforts that you did in order to get them there. So aim for your first search results page, which is key. Don't go with static, don't go with something that everybody sees, go with something that's relevant, specific for the mobile channel. So the next thing is, like, how do I do this? I mean, like, when you look at all the major players that I had up there, like initially, these guys have been in business for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years, with Walmart a lot longer. So the idea to rip and replace everything and say, we just got to throw like 10 million at it, and then in 3 years, everything's going to be golden, everything's going to be good. This idea will not fly because of two reasons. Number one, you don't have 3 years. If you look at the growth rates that I had up there initially, these guys are going to eat your lunch in the next 12 to 18 months. They're not going to wait for 3 years. Number two, so what did you do over the last 15 years? You had systems that started to manage supply chain. You added systems that did something like campaign management. You added systems that added a social channel. You added workflows to create engaging content. If you try to rip and replace all of those, number one, the risk of failure is extremely high. Number two, you're losing all the competitive advantages that you've created over the last 15 to 20 years. And technically, that's extremely feasible. But most of the time, you will find people in front of you that will tell you, oh, everything's new, everything's golden, everything's better. And most of the time, that doesn't prove to be right when you are in a situation where you actually have to implement and deliver. So basically, what I'm saying here is don't rip and replace. The benefit is the web infrastructure that you have put up is generally enough that you can augment everything that you did in the past with all the things that are needed: social, dynamic, engaging, personal, scalable, automated content, without having to go to square one and have to re-implement all the things that you did over the last 15 years. So don't rip and replace, put your assets to work. And if you don't do this, keep in mind that 84% of all the people, and by the way, this is true for B2B and B2C scenarios, will lose, or you will lose them, because they're not listening to you because you're not saying something relevant for them. So with that, I want to thank you for your attention, and thank you for putting your lunch at risk for listening to me. And hopefully you're able to kind of prevent other people from eating your lunch in the future, but instead grab onto two plates to the left and right when you're having your next meal. Thank you very much. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to take those right now.
Any questions? Okay, I know that if they want to talk with you too, they can maybe find you outside.
Okay.
Okay, very good. All right, well, let's give them another round of applause. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.